Hello everyone. My name is Chris Parsons from Critical Manufacturing. Welcome to the first of our new webinar series to Industry 4.0 and beyond. Over the course of this year, we'll be hosting a number of speakers from manufacturers, industry experts, and our customers who have embarked on the journey to Industry 4.0 and have an interesting story to tell. We hope that their unique insights and experiences will highlight some of the best practices for implementing the Industry 4.0 concepts and direct you on the right path in your journey. Here you will see the agenda for today. Following this brief introduction and a few logistics, we have the pleasure to host two speakers to discuss the early journey to Industry 4.0. Julie Fraser from iKnow Advisors will speak about why Industry 4.0 is so strategic to meet the challenges of manufacturers now and in the future. Alois Schacherl from AT&S and a critical manufacturing customer will speak about the reality of being on the path to Industry 4.0. After the presentations, Julie and Alois will be available to answer your questions. You will see a panel on the right-hand side of your screen. You can select the orange arrow to open and close your panel, and you can also control your audio connection. Most importantly, you can see a box where you can type in and submit your personal questions as you think of them. During the presentations, there will be two polling questions where we will ask for your feedback. During a polling question, a box will pop up on your screen and you will have approximately 20 to 30 seconds or so to check your answer. The polling results will then be displayed in the same way. This session is being recorded and the entire webcast will be available for on-demand viewing on the Critical Manufacturing website very soon. And please don't forget to submit your questions. And now I'd like to hand off to our first speaker, Julie Fraser.
So I want to just bring in a little information about why Industry 4.0 is so important. From a pure business standpoint, there's so much talk about it, but really why? The number one reason is to lower the cost of personalized products. So as manufacturers, we all know that higher mix is typically more expensive, more difficult, sometimes slower. So the idea is really to improve the reliability, the quality, the speed of business processes all at the same time, even while lowering the cost and personalizing the products. Specifically, also an ability to manufacture close to the customers and an agility to actually partner and respond to what's happening. So really it boils down to competitiveness and being focused on your customers. So can you really achieve all of this, and what's the way toward it? That's what the concept of Industry 4.0 is about. And sort of the why. So the next question I think a lot of people have is how? What will really enable it? Now there's a lot of talk about a whole array of technologies, but fundamentally what will pull all of that together to enable everything to be better, faster, cheaper, more reliable, all of that is real-time data. And not just, we've had real-time data in manufacturing for my entire time in manufacturing and longer, but what we haven't had is complete data, contextualized data. We also haven't had those analytics tools that allow us to take that complete and contextualized data to do something new with it and detect patterns in real time beyond what we as human beings, even the most expert in our production processes, can do. So what happens is you really create this integrated fabric of devices and data, connections, processes, people. I mean, one of the things that I think is going to become very clear is Industry 4.0 is not about completely taking people away. It's about shifting what we do to something more high value for the people by creating this fabric that allows us to make better decisions and see more clearly what's actually happening. And for that, we need cyber physical systems. Again, this is a term that came through in the Industry 4.0 work. It can be referred to as products, sort of typically with intelligence embedded in them. So they're aware of their own path through the production plant, they're aware of their own history, they're connected to the internet, so that allows this digital fabric to get woven, and they can also be responsive in real time, having much more of a decentralized approach. The other aspect is what's called cyber physical production systems, which is having those same capabilities in the equipment. And again, quite a bit of our equipment in manufacturing does have sensors and controllers and connectivity to the internet. But once you get all of these working together, so again, we talk about the Internet of Things and the industrial Internet of Things, this just broadens out how many things are connected and at what level they can do that. So I talked about weaving together a fabric. Let's look at what that actually might look like in this sort of end state vision of Industry 4.0. It's what we call a shop floor marketplace. So the production order, this looks very much like it does today, other than the fact that those three little lines on top of the product, this image here is our product. Here we're showing something that looks maybe like a chip semiconductor, but it could be any product that has intelligence. So that's really the cyber physical systems bit where its intelligence is in there, the connectivity to the internet is in there. That's the one difference. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same, right? You got an order, you've got a product, the product that actually do the same next operation. In this case, though, instead of having a preset routing and schedule through the plant, the product itself is going to ask, what's the price of that operation from these three stations at that particular moment? At that moment, each of the stations is in a different situation. The first one really just can't take it. The second one says, well, it'd be 50 because I need to do a setup, but I can take you. Station 3, though, says, I'm already set up and ready for that material class, so my price is the best. So the product says, okay, I'm going to Station 3. Once that gets processed through Station 3, then it goes to the next operation, might get picked up by a robotic arm. Again, the same kind of scenario where the product itself has enough intelligence and the production equipment also has enough intelligence to figure out what the best path through is at that particular moment in a dynamic, decentralized fashion. So this is an end state vision. If you imagine this for your industry, it could be really increase agility and really make things happen quite quickly, even if you have one-off products. If every single product can find its own path through the process. So that's the concept. Now, in the interim, most of us are not going to have all of our products with that level of intelligence, not going to have all of our workstations and robots and everything else at that level of intelligence either. So that's why it's really important for us today to think about this as a journey that will move through. This is certainly a vision of an end state, but the journey is going to be fairly complicated with some aspects of what we're doing today as well as some of these future aspects all in the same journey. So how do we get there? This is, like I say, it's really a journey. So every manufacturer is going to be moving through this, having more and more of their equipment and more of their products in this move toward intelligence. So with that, I'd like to ask the first polling question. And basically, the question is, what is the state of your Industry 4.0 journey? We're giving you 5 different possibilities, so just pick whatever feels closest to your reality. Again, you just navigate with your mouse on the screen and click on the button that seems closest for you. We don't have a strategy yet. The planning is underway. We have some early stage projects. They're getting underway, so we're making headway. We're about midway in our journey. We feel like, you know, we have a lot of intelligence embedded already, and we're learning a lot. We're pretty far through. Or some people may feel like they're well into this journey. Again, in some of the industries, the equipment has had this intelligence for a long time, and so have the products or the carriers for the products. So if you can just select your answer, we'll give you a couple more seconds, but I think this is really sort of the fundamental question that each of us need to ask ourselves. Let's go with the results and see what's happening. So most of us are in those early stage projects, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So you've started some projects, you're exploring what's happening, and you're learning, I'm sure, from all of that. There are also, though, some number of people at every single one of these 5 stages. So I think that's interesting to know as well, that the next biggest number really doesn't even have a strategy yet. So we need to start thinking and getting that strategy in place, and moving through the planning process and really getting those early projects underway. So this is great. Thanks everybody for participating today. With that, I would like to turn everything over to Alois Schacherl to actually talk about their journey at AT&S toward Industry 4.0 and sort of where all of that has been happening. So I'm just gonna open that up.
Hello also from my side. Thanks Chris and Julie for the introduction and also the first few slides of your presentation. I think you should also see my presentation now, so we can also start with a short introduction on myself. As mentioned before by Julie already, my name is Alois Schacherl. I'm currently the Group Manager of IT Manufacturing Services in AT&S. I'm with the company already since more than 17 years, and in the last few years, 4 years, I'm with this topic, however you call it, Industry 4.0, digital factory, or whatever you call it. Therefore, I have already some background, and I will also give you more background about this in the next few minutes there. In general, you see my background is mainly on IT side, so IT infrastructure, even client side and development. So I'm coming very late to this topic, not as long as Julie is already inside there, but we had to learn a lot, and I think this is also one part in the journey to get used to these new things you have to learn and to use in your company. To give you an overview about our company, I want to show you the agenda. So first step would be a short overview about our company, what we are doing, that you understand also what is our product and where we are and which challenges we have. I will show you also a little bit later, as well as an outlook at the end. AT&S is high technology, in the high technology market for printed circuit boards and IC substrates. IC substrate is the latest one. We started only some years ago, but in the high-tech PCB market we are quite long. We are the #1 in Europe on this market and #3 worldwide. In total 9,500 people, and very successful also with our high-tech PCB products. When you look inside where we are located, so our headquarters in Austria. I'm sitting currently again in Austria, in Leoben, which is in the middle of Austria, somehow in our main plant where we have around 1,000 people working there. And for sure our biggest sites are in China, And in Chongqing, we have the newest one with about 2,000 people there. I was located there for 2 years to introduce an MES system. And also in Shanghai, for sure, our biggest plant is 4,500 people at the moment. Other plants are in India, Korea, and also in second site in Austria, in Fehring. What we do, so basically we are in 2 sections, in 2 markets. One is mobile device and substrate, so everything you have in your mobile phone, you can find there, or even in computers, is falling inside this segment. And on the other side, we are in the segment of automotive, industrial, medical. You see everywhere, nearly everywhere where you have electronic devices, you need a PCB. And a lot of them are quite complex already. And therefore, it's very likely that if you have a phone in your hand, that's maybe a part of us, the PCB is inside there. What is our revenue share? It's also very interesting. So on mobile devices, substrates to about 60%, and the rest, the 40%, are on the automotive, industrial, medical part. When we look at PCBs, I think every one of you know how a PCB look like, at least in general. What we are concentrating on is this high-end PCBs, so it's called HDI. Here we talk about, and I think the main difference between the different PCB sites is that how many layups you have, so how many layers you have inside and bring together. And also the other one is the line space. So this is really the space of the line which we can make. So a high-end PCB has a line space of about 35 micrometer, which is already quite small. You will see this a little bit later on a picture. A normal hair is about 100 micrometers, so this is quite small already. Then we have our next generation where we currently start on is substrate-like PCB. So here we combine a lot of technologies together, and here we come to line spaces between 20 and 30 micrometer, which is even smaller. On the other side, we are already now with our Chongqing plant also in the IT substrate market. So the substrate is something, if you look at the computer, for example, I can easily explain it with the CPU. You have a chip on top and you have your main board on the bottom side, and somehow you must link these 2 words together, and this is called substrate. For sure, it's a very easy explanation, but you see it also here on the picture, the chip, the substrate, and the PCB. And here we're talking about, for the substrate, line spaces of smaller than 50 micrometer. And one special option we also deliver here is that we can embed also components, active and passive components, with inside the PCB, which even make it smaller at the end. So what we see here, and this also I think is the last page I want to show you about the company. A typical PCB factory has something like quite simple PCBs in an amount of 70% of his portfolio and 30% in this high-end area, what I talked about before. And if you look at AT&S in the year 2015-16, it's basically the other way around. We are concentrating on this very complex PCBs and high-end PCBs with more than 70%, and for the lower-end PCBs, which are still not easy to manufacture sometimes, we are about 30% of this inside. If you have any questions to the company, please feel free to visit us on our internet site, ats.net, or you find also here the contact information. Okay, basically that's it about what we have from our company. So you may understand now a little bit better what we are doing and maybe also how complex our things are coming. When we look at AT&S and Industry 4.0, we are in this one since quite a time. So we are working since quite some years on a lot of projects. Some are really directly named Industry 4.0, some had other names. But this is something where we started, I think, 4 or 5 years ago to really invest some money and also time in these things. When we look in Industry 4.0, we distinguish in 2 parts. We are on one side, we are producing PCBs, so these are used for such products for Industry 4.0, and on the other side, we use it in our production processes. So we are basically on both sides somehow, and therefore we know also both sides. I think one of the main blasts what we see in the last few years is this possibilities we get from the IT point of view, information communication technology, real-time data exchange, and all of this stuff is the main driver why we can do it and how we can do it. Also, it shows us the way what is possible. in total, I think it's clear all these activities are going to improving efficiency, quality, and flexibility. When you look also here in a short example, today we still have contact lenses, normal glasses. You may already know Google Glass or something like this, but all of this is very traditional. And we see that in the future, and especially with this speed where we come, that products like we show here, maybe with this contact lens with some smart features inside, will come. And this will also show us that we have to change and that we have to improve our processes much faster than even before.
Great. So with that, let's go into our next polling question and find out what your top priority projects are for Industry 4.0. So again, we've given you 5 choices. If one of them is other, so plant automation is one possibility. A lot of people are focused there. The Internet of Things, really learning about it, getting more of your devices equipped with the Internet of Things, creating platforms for that data exchange between those connected devices perhaps. The third possibility is manufacturing execution system, or MES. So for a lot of companies that's part of it. Other companies are focused on big data and really putting in place an analytics platform or an analytics capability that allows you to do something more useful and more proactive with all of the data that comes from the Internet of Things and from all of the other data sources. And if those 4 aren't really your top priority, please select other. We won't have time today to really dive into what the other is, but so if you can just navigate with your mouse onto the screen and click the one of those that feels closest to what your organization is doing with Industry 4.0, that would be great. I think all of these are perfectly valid and important parts, and whenever you're ready, we can move into the responses, realizing I want to make sure everybody has time to respond here, so we'll give you a couple more seconds. But again, all of these are perfectly valid and wise things to be working on, and you may be working on all of them, but we're just trying to get a feel for sort of where people are putting the priority, where the focus may be in the budget and from the executives might come from. Again, there's different levels of possibilities and understanding here. So, okay, just another moment. Here we go. So in this case, actually, MES is the top answer, which I guess makes sense since this event is sponsored by a manufacturing execution system provider. But notice there is a distribution across all of these. So the Internet of Things, plant automation, and big data are all critical aspects for moving forward. But great, thanks so much for participating in the poll. Let's come on back to Alois and his presentation on what they're doing at AT&S.
So yes, this is very interesting, and I think it also matches what we see on our side. So one of the first things we started some years ago before we started with the plant in Chongqing is the decision we need a professional system for helping us on the way to get this data and get this information. And this you see here on the activity sites. So what we have done in the past was implementing a manufacturing execution system, CM Navigo at this time, now CM MES. And we implemented this in Chongqing in our substrate factory and also for some selected processes in the oven. This was even not planned at this time. We even had to make it faster because we see the demand of customers is coming and we need to have it ready. We also plan a full rollout in our plant here in the oven. We are currently in the planning phase, so also this will come very soon. And we even evaluate where we can reuse this MES system or even other modules we have inside there with roadmaps for other plants. Because as you mentioned, the MES system and the functionalities we have there, this is the base for getting the data, getting the process optimized, getting the process streamlined, and therefore it's essential for everything which is coming along the way. And here, for example, we have big data projects on our side. As we collect more and more of the data with our equipment integration and also with the MES system itself, big data analyses are coming. We need them also for analyze our processes. For example, we have a gold process where we are currently analyzing, but also correlations between the quality of products and process data. And here we have really a lot of data we could correlate. They are getting more and more complicated. Therefore, also here we have this demand for big data projects and also analysis. What we also see is the further use of mobile devices. We tried a lot with tablets. We even use them very well in Shanghai, in other plants where we don't have MES. But also here, for sure, now with this connection between the real production output what we get with real-time planning information and so on, we have a lot of additional information we can show now and visualize to the guys in production, even to the engineers when they go to a process, that they see here really the latest data on a tablet, for example. Also, mobile maintenance is something where we get the information on the spot when you're there at the tool and you have to repair something, that you have your plans, that you have everything you need, maybe a history of some items which happened before, issues happened before. So therefore, also in this area, we spend a lot of energy now to find out how we can reuse and use the data we collected now with these mobile devices. Automation is also a very important task there. So we talk about transport systems, the tracking of them, also to make sure that the materials are in time at the place where we need them, the traceability, how we make it. And last but not least, we're also participating on big projects like the SEMI40. This is a European Union funded project where also critical manufacturing is there. And therefore, I see a lot of companies are going there. We see who is participating there, and we are all on the way to make this. And I think this is also a very important thing to be on the way right now. Otherwise, it's maybe already a little bit late for some industries. Okay, what is the relevance for us? I mentioned some of the items already, but what is very important, at least for us as AT&S, is that without these MES systems and the data we collect and the automations we make, for some of our new products, it's not even possible anymore to produce them. This is because of increased requirements from the customers, as we mentioned there, but also inside the processes. The requirements for traceability, backward traceability are huge already in some areas, and for sure quality, throughput, and all of this must always increase to come down with the costs to a reasonable level, which is still working, especially in an industry like we are in. Also, what we see is the complexity of the products. As mentioned, we are now in the substrate market also there, and we see that in the substrate market that even the technologies, the recipe management, everything must work. Otherwise, you cannot reach the quality you need to really produce your product. When we look again here, the line space is one of the indicators where we show how fast it's changed. Only some years ago, we had line spaces with 100 micrometers and the tolerance of plus minus 20%. Now with the substrate, we are lower than 50 micrometer with a tolerance of plus minus 10%. And as mentioned, human hair has about 100 micrometer. So you can see how fast we had to change from the older technologies to new technologies. And for sure, this is not possible without having the right data analysis in place and fast reaction and control about the processes. Okay, what are the expectations and challenges? I think this everyone is asking. Maybe your management, you will ask yourself what we want to have as outcome when we do something like this. And I can tell you must really think about it, because you will spend a lot of efforts on coming to the way and standing on the way, and it will not end very soon. When we look at the expectations, you see the reduction of scrap, waste, quality increasement. This is clear. Also to see how the costs are generated, to find out what are the cost drivers, improve cycle times, uptimes of equipments. In some industries, maybe not so on our side, it's also the reduction of the inventory, because inventory is a lot of costs, so also this should be there. Also eliminated of non-value add activities is a very important task on our side. As you see how many people are working for us, we should really make them make it possible that they can focus really on the main work what they have, and not with something like filling out some paper sheets and then put it in an Excel file. All of these things is only working if you standardize, if you want to enforce process to make sure the quality is always the same quality. And this you only can achieve if you have the data and you can control your equipment somehow. Root cause analysis and so on I also mentioned before, as well as fact-based operational decisions are the other drivers we have. There are long lists of drivers you can have, and you must find out what are the right one. And I think one of the things I can tell you out of our experience, even if you write them down, a system alone will not solve these problems for you. A system alone is then there, but without the processes, without the people which are working with the system from each individual department, and it's not IT, it's a department which must get this system for working how they need it, and getting the policies, the right policies in place and procedures in place. They must work with this. Otherwise, you have a nice system which can do everything, but you will not achieve these expectations. Okay, challenges. I mentioned some of the challenges, but not all of them. I want also highlight on this slide here some of the main challenges you may face. At least we face them. One is equipment integration. What we see in our industry, PCB, as mentioned, semiconductor industry is very high automated. You have standards, you have everything there. In PCB and even still on the substrate market, we don't see this. We don't have the vendors which have standardized equipment interfaces. We have even vendors which say, hey, why we need this now? You don't need this in the last 20 years. Now you want to have it. We need a year, 2 years, a lot of money for getting this in. So even if everyone is talking about Industry 4.0, a lot of vendors are not ready for it. So therefore you need a very, very clear picture of what you want to achieve, what is the minimum you have to achieve, and get involved with them, at least with the equipment vendors in a very, very early stage. And also here from the experience we can tell you a year of planning and talking with them is nothing, and it's going very fast that you go in production and don't have what you need at this time. But therefore we are here, we have to do this. For an example from Chongqing, also the process knowledge must be very high. So when I go there coming from IT, so let's say from the process itself, I don't know so much. I know a PCB before, I know, okay, what are our main processes, but I had no really clue about the details. When you go inside and implement an MES system, even without equipment integration, you have to know the details. And also the people you ask, they must know the people, the details, what you need. In Chongqing, for example, we have about 60 very, very complex processes. In total, we have 160 steps or so on, but 60 complex processes. And we have to go in all of them in details, find out what we have to do, when we have to do, and what we do if this and this happens. All of this must be written down, and all of this will give you some headache, because usually in productions, they have the people which knowing this, but also have written it down in procedures, but sometimes not in each detail level, and this you must find out. And for sure, you have also to find out how the different processes work together with each other, which is the next big topic to find out before you integrate even or start integration of an MES system. If you have then the MES system, then for sure you must get the people, the mindset set up, that the people work with it, do what you expect that they can do. This is a lot of organizational work, a lot of things where you must give them the idea why we're doing this, that this will have this positive impact to our business, that we can stay in the game. On the other side, you get more and more data. So data and IT security is a very high, a very, very big topic for us. all our knowledge, everything is somehow collected with this data. For sure, maybe not written down inside the systems, but if you have this information, it's very sensitive information. Also customer information are sometimes there. And as more as you get automated, every downtime of the system, and even if it's only the network, so maybe the system is running but the network is not available anymore, will bring you troubles, and these big troubles. It's not like before in office IT where I'm coming from, okay, mail server is down. It's not nice, the people are crying, but this is not really affecting your production. But now the production will be down, especially if you're in a highly automated environment. Therefore, you must take very good care about how you plan your IT infrastructure and also all the procedures you have in mind there. Okay, last point on my agenda is also the outlook. So as mentioned, we are there since some years, but we are far away from saying we are at the end of our way. We are still at the, I don't know, I can even say sometimes in the beginning, every day something new is coming, every day a new requirement is coming. So it's nothing where we can say, oh, this will end. I think it's the way where we are, and the way will not change because the environment is changing so fast that you always have to develop yourself, to develop the standards you have, the education you have. You must try to standardize. You have to find out what is the need, what you need to touch first, because it's not only one requirement, it's a lot which are coming at the same time. And for us as AT&S, we say we want to be here in the leading role. We want, or we must be in this high-tech market where we are. We must continuously work on us, develop ourselves, and stay on this way and work on all these important topics I mentioned before. Yeah, that's basically a short introduction of what we have done and how we worked in AT&S on these topics, and I hope it could give you at least a short impression what we have there and how we come there. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie and Alois, for your great presentations. I hope you don't mind answering a few questions that have come from the audience. We have just a few minutes left. So, by the way, if your question is not answered due to the time constraints on this webinar, we will be replying to every question by email within the next few days. So the first question, which may be relevant for both you and Julie and Alois, comes from Estri Harmon, and he says that regarding the first polling question, that if you were to ask their enterprise IT team, that they would answer that they had early projects underway. But from the process control space, there is little connectivity and awareness. How do you do this as a collaboration versus siloing IT and automation process control? So Alois, do you want to take a stab at that one?
Yeah, I can give some information how we did it. I think from corporate IT where I'm coming from, it's very hard to stay close at operation level. For sure, you have something, you know what's going on, but basically you have the problem that you are too far away. In our case, our main plant is in China, so in Shanghai, so it was not easy. So what we decided is really, we start the project, we make an own team. I built up a whole team in Chongqing, a totally new team, which was dedicated for this MES implementation. And here we take care about everything. So talking with the stakeholders on operation side, but also for sure maintaining and checking what is needed on IT side as a background. Here we had a great partner with Critical Manufacturing, which is supporting us on both sides, so not only on the, let's say, MES part, also on the IT side, so we can do it. But I think it's the only way is really to talk with each other, which is very hard in a big company. We see this every day, and you must stay close. It's nothing where you can say, okay, now it's implemented, I go away, do use the system like it's like you should do it. We have still these divisions in our IT, which we call IT manufacturing services. It's not only MES, it's a lot more. And we try to keep now the close contact to our operations departments and to our engineering and quality departments, because this, I think, is key for a successful project.
Thank you. Thank you. We have another question that's just come in from Kartik Ravicha. Is MES mandatory when we are going to Industry 4.0? Do you think that you are doing things differently because of Industry 4.0? And what is the MES system differences now and pre-Industry 4.0? So that's really a three-part question.
Yeah, it's not an easy topic. I think it doesn't matter which MES system you have. You need some system where you control how the production and operation is ongoing. This is because you already collect a lot of information. If you talk about traceability, for example, you need to know in each exact time where the product was, who was operating it, and so on. And this is an MES system providing you as a base information. I think it depends also on your needs. So if you find out we have a need to collect all data only in a big pot, then you maybe don't need MES. But I guess most of the requirements are going in the direction of full traceability, so you must be aware where your products are at which time. And this is one main factor why you need it. And another one could be if you have some requirements in going in the direction of saying, I must control, I must get a better throughput of our tools. Also this, I think, without an MES system, no matter which MES system it is, which is giving you this data as a base for making these decisions and these calculations in these operations, it will be very hard. Industry 4.0, yeah, it's hard to say what is Industry 4.0. We talked about digital factory before, Internet of Things, all of these are some words which you have there. In general, if you're talking about an operational and production company, I think it's about controlling the shop floor and finding out where which product is and how it's produced.
Thanks, Alois. Another interesting but shorter question this time comes from Watina Dashan. What were the costs versus the benefits for you at AT&S?
Okay, also a very good question. I think I cannot talk about the detailed costs. You may understand this one. And I think what you see is the benefits later on. So if you have already requirements which are going there, you would see also that the benefits what you get out is sometimes not really calculatable. It's not like that you save this amount of headcount, and it's also not about this one. Because headcount is for sure something which maybe shifts from working force to knowledge force, we call it, but it's not like that we reduce, we even have more headcount than before. So what you see on the cost side, it's more like have better quality, have better throughputs, this you can calculate, maybe need to buy less tools. In general, we can say when we look at our costs, we are quite positive on this one. So it's not a negative business for us, but it's also not like that you save this money. It's simply a must that we have it, because otherwise we could not produce these products. And therefore the saving of costs is for sure always a topic in each company, and I can tell you it's a positive calculation on our side, but it's not like that with this one you will save your company with the costs. It's with the process optimization.
Right, thank you. Now, we've actually gone over our time by a few minutes, so I will just take one more question before we close. This question comes from Janice Abel. What about better visibility and improvements? Is that a driver for MES?
Yeah, better visibility is always key for improve something. So what we see is that one of the main topics, even after we implemented the MES system, is that the people must use it. They must have the mindset to work with data and do something with the data. I think we have now a lot of transparency with getting the data, if we know which data we need, and then can analyze it and also show them. We have screens where we show the throughput and the quality characteristics on the shop floor, that everyone is knowing, okay, this is ongoing there. But I think the real benefit, this is nice and you can make your really nice screens, but the real benefit you have if you really dig deeper in the data and work on them to gain these improvements, to find out how we can make maybe the routing through the line better with this data, what is the setup of a line or of a tool is costing us, and how we can optimize this waste, and how we can optimize the material flow within the production. So visualization is for sure very important, especially if people must work and use or set up tools and need some information there, it's key. But in general, I would say the main focus at the beginning should not be on visualization. It's on getting this focus on working with data, getting the right people working with data, and then out of these learnings work with that. And then in the second step, use the visualization to also show the people the improvement of the processes and so on. Both of this is very, very important, but I would work first with the data, which is the hardest part also on our side.
Well, thank you very much, Alois, and thank you for answering all those questions so openly. If your question was not answered during this webcast, we will be replying within the next few days directly to you, and we'll probably post some of those questions in other formats. So just to finish, I'd like to just give you some additional resources that you can use post this webcast. The first one is a written case study from AT&S, which is entitled An Integrated Approach to Traceability for a Fresh Start. And this focuses on the implementation of MES in the China plant of AT&S, and this can be downloaded at the link provided from the Critical Manufacturing website. Also on the website, we have an award-winning white paper entitled Manufacturing Software for Industry 4.0, Embracing Change and Decentralization for Success. And this covers many of the concepts that Julie especially spoke about early in the webinar. But as a special thank you to all who attended this webinar, you will receive an advance copy of our forthcoming new white paper, the new MES Backbone of Industry 4.0. So expect that in your inbox within the next few weeks. So once again, thank you for attending. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Alois, for your great presentations. This webinar will now close until next time. Thank you.